August 2nd, 1776, a date that, though overshadowed by the 4th of July, marks the moment when 56 courageous delegates affixed their names to a document that would change the course of history. Today we journey back to Philadelphia's Assembly Room, where ink met parchment and ideals became irrevocable commitments. When Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and their fellow patriots penned the Declaration of Independence, they articulated a vision of government rooted in natural rights and popular sovereignty. Yet the adoption of the text on July 4th and the moment when signatures were inscribed on the parchment copy were distinct events. On August 2nd, in the grand chamber of what is now called Independence Hall, the act of signing transformed lofty rhetoric into binding pledges, pledges of lives, fortunes, and sacred honor. As we explore that historic day from a forward-thinking perspective, we'll not only recount the events of 1776, but also consider their enduring influence on modern democracy, civic engagement, and the preservation of foundational texts in a digital age. The seeds of revolution were sown long before quills ever scratched ink onto parchment. During the 1760s, Parliament's imposition of the Stamp Act, the Townshend Acts, and other taxes without colonial representation ignited fierce opposition. Across taverns and printing shops, pamphleteers invoked John Locke's theories of natural rights, asserting that government should derive its authority from the governed and safeguard their inalienable rights to life, liberty, and property. By 1774, delegates from all 13 colonies convened in Philadelphia for the First Continental Congress, forging a united response to imperial overreach. Armed conflict erupted at Lexington and Concord in April of 1775, compelling the Second Continental Congress to assume both military leadership and political deliberation. While many delegates hesitated at the prospect of outright independence, radical voices, stirred by continued British aggression, pushed the balance toward a decisive break. In mid-June 1776, Congress appointed a committee of 5, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, and Robert Livingston, to craft a formal declaration. Jefferson, lauded for his eloquence, wove together Enlightenment philosophy and a litany of grievances against King George III. Over successive sessions, the committee and the full Congress debated his draft, balancing rhetorical power with political strategy to secure consensus. On July 2nd, delegates voted to sever political ties with Britain. 2 days later, on July 4th, Congress adopted the final text. Almost immediately, John Dunlap's press produced the first broadside editions, announcing independence to the world. Yet these printed copies lacked the authoritative weight of signatures. That imprimatur would come later, on parchment, through a ceremony that lent permanence and solemnity to the cause. On July 19th, Congress resolved to have the Declaration fairly engrossed on parchment, an official copy rendered in large, elegant script. They entrusted this task to Timothy Matlack, a skilled calligrapher whose penmanship restored language that had been trimmed in earlier drafts, including the title's original phrase, "The Unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America." By the time Matlack's quill lay down, New York's provincial convention had empowered its delegates to vote for independence, ensuring unanimity among the colonies. The engrossed document thus embodied months of debate, revision, and the collective will of 13 peoples ready to embrace self-governance. On the morning of August 2nd, 1776, the assembly room filled with delegates bathed in the soft glow of overhead windows. John Hancock, president of the Congress, stepped forward first, dipping his quill in ink and signing boldly beneath the Declaration's title. His expansive signature set a tone of resolute leadership. After Hancock, the delegates proceeded state by state, ordered geographically north to south. With each signature, the words on the parchment transcended mere philosophy, becoming a covenant. Many signed that day. Others, detained by war or diplomacy, appended their names in the months that followed, some as late as January 1777. 56 men in all pledged their names, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to a new nation. Who were these 56 signatories? Their backgrounds varied. Thomas Jefferson, the lawyer and philosopher, Benjamin Franklin, the elder statesman and inventor, young merchants like Thomas McKean and Nicholas Copeland, farmers and artisans turned revolutionaries. A few, such as Button Gwinnett of Georgia, had fleeting tenures yet still staked their names to the parchment. Others, like Roger Sherman, would later shape the Constitution in 1787. Each signature carried immense personal risk. Had the rebellion failed, the signers faced charges of treason, property confiscation, even execution. Yet united by conviction, they trusted the principles they wrote would outlast the coming struggle. The leveling act of signing transformed the Declaration from printed broadside to solemn covenant. The broadside copies informed the public, but only the engrossed parchment, adorned by hand, conferred official authenticity. By writing their names, the delegates embedded personal accountability into the fabric of governance, establishing a powerful precedent for the public ratification of foundational charters. In the centuries that followed, this parchment copy became an emblem of national unity, inspiring generations to regard constitutions and bills of rights as collective pledges rather than mere legal documents. Popular culture often blurs the lines between adoption and signing, fostering the myth that the Declaration was signed on July 4th. John Trumbull's stirring painting, depicting the Committee of Five presenting their draft, further cements this misconception. In reality, weeks passed between adoption and the ceremony of signatures, reflecting the deliberative nature of the Congress. Similarly, the unanimity of July 4th was provisional. New York abstained until mid-July. A handful of delegates joined the signing late, underscoring both the complexity of the moment and the human hesitations that accompany revolutionary change. After the revolution, the engrossed parchment traveled with the fledgling republic, sometimes safeguarded by dispatches, at others displayed in government buildings. By the 20th century, concerns over environmental damage and vandalism spurred major preservation efforts. In 1951, the document was sealed in bulletproof glass with temperature and humidity controls. Later enhancements introduced inert argon gas and reinforced framing materials. Today, the Declaration stands preserved in the National Archives Rotunda, a testament to both its historical weight and modern archival science. Though overshadowed by the pageantry of July 4th, August 2nd resonates deeply among historians, educators, and civic leaders. It represents the moment when ideology solidified into enforceable covenant. In schools and museums, August 2nd serves as a gateway to discussions about consensus, sacrifice, and the mechanics of democracy. Artists and writers have mined the tension between individual risk and communal hope embodied in each signature. For visitors to the National Archives, the sight of those hand-scribed names invites contemplation of the ideals and the responsibilities on which the nation was founded. More than 2 centuries on, the lessons of August 2nd, 1776 remain vital. In an era of instantaneous digital communication, the deliberate ceremony of signing underscores the importance of formal procedures in legitimizing authority. Advances in imaging and distributed ledger technology promise new means to preserve and authenticate foundational documents, ensuring transparent provenance and immutable records. Contemporary civic culture can draw inspiration from the framers' structured debates, reminding us that respectful negotiation and informed discourse form the bedrock of healthy democracies. August 2nd, 1776 was far more than a bureaucratic formality. It was the culmination of deliberation, courage, and shared conviction. Through the simple yet profound act of signing, 56 individuals pledged their lives, fortunes, and honor to ideals that would shape the destiny of a nation and inspire democratic movements around the globe. As we remember that day, let us honor the spirit of those signers by safeguarding our own commitments to liberty, equality, and the power of collective action. For in every signature lies the promise of tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this journey through August 2nd, 1776, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Until next time, keep exploring the stories that shaped our world.